Okay, what day is it? Wednesday. Happy hump day or hump evening. Find a comfortable seat. So, as I mentioned before starting the recording, today's class is going to be almost a little over half of a yang practice, more active and flow, and a little longer cool down with yin and restorative type of deep stretch yoga postures, really honoring the stillness that will come in the end. So, in the past few days, we've been talking about samskaras, these ingrained habits within us of doing and thinking or reacting to things. And I decided to do even more research and found this informative article in Yoga Journal that was written in 2017 called Awaken to Your Potential for Change, the five kleshas. So in yoga philosophy, there are five kleshas, or what is called roots of human suffering. And I've talked about this a few times in the past before. So Bo, the author, talks about a spiritual initiation, which is something difficult and quite drastic that happens in your life that can shake your solid ground and throw you off your foundation. So we might be going through something like that at this time during this pandemic. And while this article was written in 2017, there's some really relevant information on going through the kleshas, the different roots of suffering, and what you might be experiencing through this journey of dealing with this so called crisis. And what's an important point that she makes is that when things fall apart, as it's tempting to try to piece them together as quickly as possible and get your old life back. But when we do that, she says that we can miss what a crisis can offer, which is an awakening to what's not working in your life, an opening to the potential for change. So, in talking about samskaras, we were talking about how do we transform ones that are harmful to positive ones. So, one klesha she mentions asmita, which means the disruption of the ego. She said in this process of our solid ground being shaken from us or even thrown off, what are we when we don't have those roles that we might claim as our identity? The provider, the martyr, the person who brings coffee to all the coworkers every morning, the responsible one, the caretaker, the black sheep, the boss. It's important to notice what reacts in the mind. And with each klesha, she offers one of the 8 limbs of yoga, again, from yoga philosophy, which are different ways to practice yoga to address that root of suffering. And for Asmita, she says pranayama, which is the mindful breathing techniques that we practice. She says that the breath can be a thread of awareness connecting your outer mind with your deepest inner self. We'll have a specific pranayama practice towards the end. The second root of suffering, devesha, which means an aversion to pain. So it can be frightening facing this inner void that can happen when our idea of normalcy is taken away. What do we have left? Well, we can look at it as a cleared slate, making way for change and regeneration. The limb of yoga, she says, to address this is pratyahara, which is withdrawing from the external senses and tuning inward. The third root of suffering, abhinavesha, means a fear of death and a tendency to cling to life. So when we suffer the death of something that we regarded as a routine, something that was a comfort for us, we can encounter again the void, but also our shadow sides, the parts of us that we keep hidden, the qualities, behaviors, motivations that might be difficult for us to acknowledge. And addressing that, she suggests the practice of samadhi, which means a total surrender and absorption with the divine or the deepest self. And she points out that Shavasana, can be a wonderful platform for this practice. It's where we have done all the physical rigor or the deep stretch of opening the body, opening the breath and the mind, and then we just let go and be still and allow it all to integrate these various practices of yoga. So we might have a little longer Shavasana at the end. The fourth root is avidya, which means ignorance or delusion. It's what may compel you to rush into trying to restructure your life, build a new sense of identity and ego, and the seemingly endless period of waiting. But we can learn to honor this pause, this period of waiting, as a process that we value, a process of becoming or awakening to a new sense of self. And one of the limbs to address that is dhyana, which means meditation. It's a practice of patience and sitting with what is, whatever is going on internally. And not only within meditation, but taking that context of mindfulness into our daily lives, tuning into the voice of our soul and letting that voice guide us. And the last root of suffering is raga, which means attachment to pleasure. So now that we might have moved away from the initial suffering of the crisis happening, we might rush to form an attachment to what our new sense of identity is or our new sense of normalcy could be. But she warns that if spiritual maturity is truly your priority, you must be ready to leave the comfort zone and begin again and again, as many times as it takes, not being too attached to what we start to find. And lastly, she says that initiations, these crises, are windows through which you can glimpse who you really are and what's possible for you. As you learn to recognize and accept the extraordinary power of change and develop the art of surrender, you'll be rewarded with an awakening of the natural alignments between body, mind, and spirit that already exists within you. So I invite you in this physical practice, and if you just joined us, it's going to be a bit of a yin and a yang, a longer wind down towards the end, but perhaps more flow in the beginning, to really build our sense of awareness of how our bodies can teach us what's going on, can express to us what's happening internally, as we use the breath as a thread to that deepest self. So as you sit here, perhaps more upright in your posture, rooted, feel what you're sitting on. I invite you to join your hands together at your heart and maybe close the eyes. As you take a moment to pause and just feel, what have you brought into your practice today in your physical state, mental, emotional, and energetic states. As you slow your breath down, allow it to become gently more audible. Soft whisper as you gently narrow the back of your throat. Using the breath to shine a spotlight within. Begin to warm up the body as you breathe through the nose, mouth closed. And take a moment, if you have one, to set an intention for your practice of yoga today. Maybe it's a quality that you want to physically embody, mentally, emotionally embody, or something more specific. Continue to feel your breath deeply and evenly flow. And softly open your eyes. Let's begin on all fours, hands and knees. Setting your knees under your hips and your wrists a couple inches in front of your shoulders. Let's begin with cat-cows. Breathing in as you stretch the lower back, coiling the chest up, drawing the shoulders down. Breathing out as you press through the hands and lift the belly, contracting it. Tuck the tailbone under and drop the skull. Cat pose. And then really slowly take a few more cycles where we begin to stretch the front and the back of the spine. Synchronizing movements to a slow, mindful breath. And when we begin to flow through vinyasas, remember that if you're looking to tone things down at all, you can replace vinyasas with cat-cow instead. So on your next exhalation, with your fingers spread flat, tuck your toes behind you and lift your hips high and back to downward facing dog. If you want a moment to shift around, feel free to take that. You might like to softly shake and nod your head to relax your neck. I like to pedal your feet, warm up the backs of your legs, maybe swivel the hips left and right. Feel as you're pressing down through every knuckle of your palms. You're lifting the shoulders back while wrapping the triceps, outer upper arms towards the ground. And as you draw your tailbone high towards the sky, shift your weight towards the rear of your mat, bending the knees as much as needed, firm the belly against the back. Let's take one more full breath here. Adho Mukha Svanasana. On your next in-breath, glide forward into plank pose, and let's pause a few breaths, stacking your shoulders right on top of your wrists as you look on the ground ahead, lengthening the neck. Feel the sides of your waist lifted. Anytime you want to modify plank, you could set your knees on the floor. But if your legs are straight, firm the heels back. Engage the fronts of your thighs. Passing through a vinyasa. Exhale, shift forward. Bend your elbows to hug your side ribs. And slowly lower all the way down, pointing the toes on the ground. Inhale to cobra, softening the shoulders away from your neck. Pressing down through your hands, exhale back to downward facing dog. Now here, inhale, raise your right leg behind you. As you exhale, bend your right knee and turn open at the hip. Inhaling, draw the left hip further back, stretching the inner thighs. Then exhale, softly land the right foot just inside of your right hand, come into a lunge. Whether the back knee's on the ground or lifted, breathe in and extend your chest forward. Breathe out and scissor your right outer hip back. Continue to extend your chest forward as you bow inside of your right leg. Keep flowing. Inhale, bend the right knee into a lunge. Exhale, draw the right hip back, extend your chest forward and fold. Let's take 3 more cycles of breath. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, right hip back, long spine as you fold. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, scissor the right hip and fold. Last round, breathe into lunge. Breathe out, scissor and fold. Now come back to your version of a lunge. As we prepare to twist, bring your right thumb to the crease of your right outer hip and draw that hip downward and slightly back, seeing your right knee stacked just above the heel. Then stretching the spine forward down the midline of your mat. Press the shoulder blades down your back. Exhaling, begin to turn your chest to face the right wall without turning the pelvis so the 2 hips stay balanced. Then raise your right arm to the sky. Breathe in and imagine your tailbone lengthening towards your inner left heel, crown towards the front of your mat. Breathe out, keep your 2 hips hugging your midline and keep turning the chest. Keep softening the shoulders down your back. 2 more cycles of breath. Now on an exhale, set the right hand down outside of your right leg. Step your right foot to the center of the top of your mat and spin the left heel down to prepare for warrior 2. Align your right heel to intersect the arch of your left foot. And as you bend the right knee forward, press through both feet and windmill your arms apart to stand. Now feel the complete turn out of your right leg from your hip. Wrap the right sitting bone underneath. Feel the slight turn in of your left leg. Firm the top of your left thigh bone back. As you open the arms, take another inhale in Warrior Two. Then straighten the legs and raise the arms. Exhaling. Inhale back to Warrior Two. Exhale, rise up, get tall through the spine, but relax the shoulders. 3 more. Inhale, Warrior Two. Exhale, rise up. Inhale, Warrior Two. Exhale, rising. Tracking the front knee with the middle front toe. Inhale, Warrior Two. Exhale, rising. Come back to Warrior Two, and let's take about 5 deep breaths here. Pressing the ground with a big toe mound of your right foot, counterbalanced by the outer edge of your left foot. Lifting through the center of your spine, relaxing your shoulders down, and steadying your gaze just past your right hand. Feel the reach through all of your fingertips. Let's take one more breath. Virabhadrasana 2. Then next inhale, straighten the legs, raise the arms, and continue to lengthen the sides of your torso, sides of your neck. Keep the legs straight, and exhale, open the arms and slide your hips towards the back edge of your mat, reaching the right hand past your right knee, then down to triangle pose. So engage the fronts of your thighs without locking your knees, and keep firming down through both feet. Drawing the right hip crease back towards your left outer heel, feel your left fingertips reach towards the sky so much that the weight of your right hand is pretty light, rather than collapsing into where it's landed. Turn your chest slightly towards the sky, and if it feels okay on your neck, look up towards your left thumb. Last 3 breaths here in Utthita Trikonasana. Feel your belly hug in towards your spine, offering your lower back support. Now breathe in, look down at your right foot. Exhale, set your 2 hands on the ground and step into plank to lower either through cat-cow or a vinyasa. Breathe in as you lift your chest and relax your shoulders. Breathe out, let's meet in downward facing dog. Fingers spread, hips high. Inhale, raise your left leg. As you exhale, bend your left knee and turn open at the hip. Inhale, draw your right hip further back. Exhale, lightly step the left foot just inside of your left hand to a high lunge or back knee to the floor. Inhale in your lunge, extend your chest forward. Exhale, scissor your left outer hip back. Keep reaching the chest forward as you bow. Keep going. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, scissor the left hip back and fold. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, scissor and fold. Last 2, inhale, lunge. Exhale, scissor and fold. Feel the sides of your neck stay long. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, scissor and fold. Come into your lunge, stacking the front knee over the heel. Use your left thumb to hook the crease of your left outer hip, drawing it down and slightly back. Feel the stability of your legs as you lengthen your spine forward, breathing in. Then exhale at your waistline, twist to your left side and raise your left arm up. Inhale, continue to lengthen your spine from your pelvis. Soften the shoulders back. Exhale, firm your outer hips towards your midline and continue to turn your chest. About 3 more breaths in the spinal twist. Now look down at your left foot, and as you exhale, set your left hand outside of it. Then step your left foot to the front and center of your mat. Spin the right heel down and align your left heel to the arch of your right foot. Pressing through both feet, cartwheel your arms to rise up for Warrior Two. So feel how you're turning out your left leg. so that the middle of your left knee and your middle left toe are pointing down the center line of your mat forward. Feel how you're slightly turning in your right leg. So your right knee and toes are slightly facing the front of your mats. With your pelvis upright, inhale in warrior two. Then firm down through your feet and exhale, straighten both legs and raise your arms. Get a little taller. Inhale back to warrior two. Exhale, rise up. 3 more cycles of breath. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, rise up. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, rise. Last time, inhale, warrior two. Keep tracking your front knee with the middle toe. Exhale, rise. Now back to warrior two. Let's hold, steadying your gaze or drishti just past your left hand. Feel stability by balancing your weight on both the big toe mound of your left foot and the outside edge of your right foot. As you lift from the base of your spine through each vertebra, through the top of your head, soften the shoulders down. Feel extension through your arms and fingertips. One more breath here, Virabhadrasana 2. Then inhale, raise the arms, straighten the legs. Keep the legs straight and exhale, open the arms, hug in the belly and slide your hips towards your right foot, reaching the left hand past your left knee, then down for triangle pose. Now, as you wrap the left outer hip under your body, turn your chest slightly to face the sky, but firm your belly towards your lower back. Feel the sides of your neck long. You might be gazing up past your right thumb. Let's take about 3 more breaths here in triangle pose. Then look down at your left foot, breathe in. Exhale your 2 hands to plank pose and choose if you want to move through cat-cow a few times or a full vinyasa. Lowering, then inhaling to cobra or upward facing dog. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Let's take a few breaths here, resteadying a pace to flow continuously with as we begin Sun Salutation B. Bending your knees, look in front of your hands. At the end of your exhalation, lightly land your feet at the top of your mat to forward fold. Inhale, press your legs to the ground and lengthen the spine forward. Exhale, fold in. From down through your feet, inhale, circle the arms to rise up. And exhale your palms to meet at your heart. We're going to go right into one breath each motion. So bring your feet together to touch to prepare for chair pose. Then bend your knees together to touch. Inhale to chair, Utkatasana. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway up. Step back to plank and take your version of your vinyasa. Steady breaths. Arriving in downward facing dog, inhale, lift your right leg behind you. Then exhale, set the foot forward just inside of your right hand. Spin the back heel down, face forward. Inhale, rise up into warrior one. Then exhale, lower your hands and lower into your vinyasa. Breathing in as you lift your chest. Breathing out to downward facing dog. Then inhale, raise your left leg. Exhale, step the foot forward inside of your left hand, spin the right heel down. Face forward, inhale, rise to warrior one. Exhale, lower, down to your vinyasa. Inhale, lifting the heart. Exhale to downward facing dog. Then take 3 to 5 deep breaths here. Being aware of what surfaces as we hold still. whether it be sensations or tension in the body, or any types of thoughts some you might find a pattern with. Then with bent knees, look in front of your hands. The end of your exhalation, lightly land at the top. Let your feet touch. Inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, fold. Knees touch. Inhale, sit back towards your heels in chair. Exhale to rise up. Let's take one more Surya Namaskar B. Inhale, chair. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Step or lightly jump back into your version of vinyasa. We'll meet in downward facing dog. From there, inhale, raise your right leg. Exhale, step it forward, spin the back heel down. Face forward, inhale, rise to warrior one. Exhale, lower into your vinyasa. Breathing in. Exhale to downward dog. Inhale, raise your left leg. Exhale, step the foot inside, left hand, right heel down. Inhale, rise to warrior one. Exhale, lower, vinyasa. Inhale. We'll meet in downward facing 3 to 5 breaths. As you smoothen out your breath again, let this pause be an ability to observe, an opportunity for expanding awareness. Then with bent knees, look in front of your hands. End of your exhale, lightly land. Feet touch. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Let your knees come together. Inhale into chair pose, but extend your arms forward, and as you exhale, very slowly lower your pelvis to the ground, preparing for boat pose, Navasana. So when you're ready, think of lifting your pelvic floor, keeping your spine uplifted. Lift your feet, flexed or point. You could hold the ground, your legs, or nothing, knees bent or legs straight. Now maybe close your eyes and visualize breathing into the base of your spine. Take a deep breath. Exhale, 7. Now into your lower abdomen. Exhale, 6. Into your upper belly. Exhale, 5. Into the center of your chest at your heart. Exhale, 4. Center of your throat. Exhale, 3. Between the eyebrows. Exhale, 2. Above the crown of your head. Deep breath. And exhale, very slowly lower your feet both onto the ground. Now separate your feet hips width. You might have to scoot your pelvis more towards the middle of your mat here. Ground your feet, extend your arms forward, and feel all the muscles in your core surrounding your torso from each angle, engaging to help you very slowly lower your spine to the floor. And once, lying on your back, bend your knees and lift your shins parallel to the ground. So as you keep your knees, your feet hips width apart, point or flex your feet. Notice the space between your lower back and the mat. Slightly shorten that space by contracting your lower abdomen. Then in the shape of your body, imagine you're sitting in a chair. Place your hands on your lap, the fronts of your thighs. Now with your hands, begin to push your thighs away from your torso, but resist with your thighs pressing against your hands. So visibly there's no movement, though you feel a deeper engagement in your transverse abdominis, the lower belly. Let's take about 10 breaths here. Relax the shoulders onto the ground, head 2. Keep the neck long, face relaxed. Deep breaths. Actively with your hands pressing your thighs away from your torso. but your thighs resisting against your hands. This is great to also offer length into the lower back. So visualize your tailbone reaching towards the front edge of your mat as you shorten the space between the ground and your lower back. We're down to 2 more breaths. Deep inhale. And exhale, straighten the legs up towards the ceiling. Now feel the lower belly that you are engaging. And we're going to use that again as you interlace your fingers up towards the sky. Take a deep breath and exhale, lift the head and shoulders, twisting to your right. So your index fingers are pointing towards the upper right corner of your mat. Inhale here and lower your left leg forward to hover just a couple inches off the floor. Exhale, slowly raise the left leg. 4 more. Inhale, hover the left leg. Exhale, raise it. If you need neck support, inhale, hover. You could use your right hand behind your skull. Exhale, lift. Inhale, hover, reaching through your index. Exhale, lift. Feel your torso spiraling. Inhale, hover. Exhale, lift. Lower your head and shoulders and bend your knees. Take hold of them and softly circle your thighs together and apart. Breathing in and breathing out. Slowing the breath down. All right. Just one more side. Raise the legs up. Point or flex the feet. Take a deep breath. Interlace the fingers, except the index, towards the sky. As you exhale, contract the lower belly and twist to your left, pointing at the upper left corner of your mats. Inhale, lower your right leg forward to hover a couple inches off the ground. Slowly, exhale, lift the right leg. If your neck needs support, use the left hand behind the skull. Inhale, lower the right leg. Exhale, slowly lift it. Important not to swing with momentum, but to move with control. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Last 2. Inhale, lower, engaging the lower belly. Exhale, lift, spiraling through the torso. Inhale, hover. Reach through the index. Exhale, lift. And this time, either come into happy baby, bending the knees apart, or clasp the big toes and straddle the legs straight apart. Either action, draw your tailbone onto the floor, helping to lengthen your lower back. Take a deep inhale through your nose. This time, stick out your tongue, open the mouth wide, lion's breath. Make a funny face if you like. Helps to release some facial tension. Breathe in, cross the eyes, stick out the tongue, let it go. Then gather your thighs together, bend your knees towards your chest, and massage up and down your spine by rocking forward and back a few times. Start to build momentum so that you can eventually rise all the way up to stand. Right at the top of your mat. So when standing, bring your feet together to touch and bend your elbows wide apart. Crossing your left elbow over the right, either hook your thumbs or wrap your forearms and palms. Press your shoulder blades down your back and lift your elbows to the height of your shoulders. Feel your shoulder blades broaden across your upper back. Now bend your knees to touch like chair and engage your belly. Steady your gaze forward. Shift your weight onto your left foot. Turn out your right leg and wrap it over the left leg, either flexing the right foot or tucking the toes behind your left calf. Scissor your right hip back enough so that your 2 hips are evenly facing forward as you sit lower. Taking a few more breaths here in eagle pose. A symbol of vision, insight, awareness. Now from eagle, we're moving into half moon. So start to unwind the right leg, flex the right foot, bring your right hand to your right hip, extend the left hand forward as you straighten the right leg behind you like warrior 3, but you're gonna lower the left fingertips, upper left corner from your left pinky toe on the ground or block. Chest completely facing the right wall. Draw your left hip back towards your right heel and flex your right foot, feeling your right knee and toes slightly face the floor. You might raise the right arm if your balance feels steady. Just about 3 more breaths here in Ardha Chandrasana. Think of creating a long line of energy from the top of your head, tailbone to right heel, as though that was mountain pose. Sweep your right arm overhead if it's lifted. Set your 2 hands down in front and step the right foot to meet the left. Forward fold. Then bend your knees a lot. Drop your skull and inhale to roll your spine upright to stand. Mountain pose. Take a couple of breaths in mountain and feel that long line of energy I was referring to in half moon from the top of your head, lifting down your spine through your tailbone, anchoring down towards the space between your heels. You're lengthening in both directions. So focusing on that line later, let's bend the elbows apart and cross the right elbow over the left. Hook your thumbs or wrap your forearms and palms, sliding your shoulder blades down your back. Lift your elbows to the height of your shoulders. Steady your gaze and your breath, then bend your knees like chair. Shift your weight onto your right foot. Turn out your left leg and wrap it over the right leg, flexing the left foot or tucking the toes behind your right calf. Scissor your left hip back and bring the right hip forward until both hips are evenly facing forward. Then as you sit a little lower, your center of gravity becomes closer to the ground. Let's take a few more breaths. So feel how your elbows and knees stack down the midline of your body, connecting to your center. And with steady breath, visualize before you move your body. You'll be extending the left leg straight behind you, parallel-ish to the floor. Spine leans parallel-ish to the floor as you set the right hand down. So begin to flex the left foot and press the heel back towards the rear of your mat. Left hand to left hip, right hand to the ground, upper right corner from your right pinky toe. Turn your chest completely to face the left wall and tack your right hip back towards your left heel. If your balance and breath feels steady, raise your left arm for the last few breaths in half moon pose. Ardha Chandrasana. And as you're ready to come down, raise the left arm overhead, place both hands down and step the left foot next to the right. Forward fold. From here, separate your feet wider than hips distance, parallel your feet. Feel free to bend your knees a lot so that you can truly just release your neck and the rest of your spine. Then catch hold of opposite elbows with your hands and gently sway the spine. Loosen up the muscles along it, keeping your legs firm, knees bent. Shift your weight slightly more forward towards the balls of your feet. Now let your head go. You might softly shake and nod your head a few times. You might flutter your lips to help ease the jaw. Maybe a big growling sigh through the mouth. And then press the ground of your legs and inhale to lengthen halfway up. Extend your chest forward. Lift the navel towards the spine. Then exhale to fold again. Bend your knees and lower your pelvis to sit onto your mat. So like I mentioned, we're going to take a little longer cool down into some yin, deep stretch, as well as restorative, deep relaxing postures. So if you have pillows, blocks, blankets, you might want to have them near your mat in case you want some more options. We're going to start with a deep restorative spinal twist. So start with turning your right hip to face the front of your mat. So both feet are extended towards the left side of your mat. And from here, slide your left foot towards the rear of your mat. So now your legs have an L shape to them. Then place your two hands at the top of your mat, as if you're about to come into Cobra Pose. Now feel free to bend the knees here, but you'll want to turn your chest completely to face the front of your mat. It might require you to slide your right hip further towards the rear of your mat. Maybe bend the knees. You don't want the legs to feel rigid. Relax the toes. Then from here, extend your chest forward and begin to lower to whatever degree. Now, this is where a pillow might be useful. You might have a pillow that you can rest on. You might have a block that catches your stomach or your forehead, or you might come down to your forearms. So this is a restorative posture, and they're meant to be held for several minutes at a time. So we can get a variety. We'll be here for just another minute and a half before we switch sides. So still tune to your breathing. Calm, deep breaths. As you feel the spine able to unwind further, you can come down lower so that perhaps your forehead rests on top of your forearms, if not on a pillow. Or you might even deepen the twist by crawling the right fingertips towards the upper right corner of your mat, bending the right elbow towards the sky, and threading your left arm underneath your right elbow so that you rest the left side of your head all the way down. That we can feel kind of wound up in this physical position. Still try to let the breath flow deeply. Giving your spine a deep release, as well as your digestive organs, a nice release. Let's take about 3 more breaths on this side. Now begin to lift your torso very slowly upright. Once you are sitting up, straighten both of your legs to face the rear of your mat so that you're sitting up tall in stick pose, Dandasana. Pause there and just root down to the sitting bones. Lift the crown of your head and take a deep breath. Taking a moment to allow the spine to feel neutral. Then keep your right leg where it is and slide your left leg to the opposite side of your mat. Place your two hands at the top of your mat. So now your left hip is facing the front of your mat. Adjust your legs as much as needed. Bend the knees, scoot the left hip back in order to turn your chest completely to face the front of your mat. And take your time. You might use pillows, a block, something to rest your forearms on, if not your mat. And just be with whatever is unwinding, unraveling. Physically, energetically, we can easily carry stagnation within the spine. Louise Hayes, author who recently passed, of books about mind and body connection and how our beliefs can cause dis-ease in our physical body as a means of communicating to us what needs to be addressed. She talks about the lower back and how it can be related to thoughts, patterns of instability, specifically financially. So if that happens to be relevant to you, she invites us to address it by creating positive affirmations related to whatever the dis-ease is in the mind. So rather than I don't have enough, with some feeling of truth, not creating something that you don't believe yet, start to think of in what ways you are abundant, if not financially to start. having the time and the space and the energy to practice yoga for an hour is a way of being abundant. Having the opportunity to connect with like-minded people. Let's take 2 more breaths. Don't worry, I've been watching the time. Now gently use your hands and start to lift your spine upright. We're going to bring the legs to the front of your mat, again to stick pose. Just straightening the legs forward and sitting up tall for a few breaths, allowing the spine to feel neutral. Notice as you trace your awareness internally up and down your spine, is there any pronounced tension within your posture? Or the opposite of that, a shift, a release in tension. Just neutral awareness. Bend your knees apart and let's bring the soles of your feet together. So here again, if you have a pillow or block or a stack of them, you could place them right here, either on top of your feet or in front. And as you begin to crawl the hands forward to fold, you can rest on top of them. If you don't have them, that's fine, but ground your pelvis, keep it heavy on the earth, and slightly engage your belly so it's pressing towards your lower back as you lift the heart and soften the shoulder blades down. You're going to be here for a full minute in Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. As a means of communicating with our bodies, I invite you to feel any shift in tension or sensation or pronouncement of sensation, and visualize breathing into that area, responding back to your body, acknowledging its communication. Massaging the breath in to the parts that most need it. And exhaling, emptying what needs to be released. For 2 more deep breaths. And start to press your hands towards you so you can lead with the chest and inhale to slowly lift your spine. Let's slide down onto our stomachs, lying on the ground. So lying on your belly, place your right ear to the floor as we open up the front of your right shoulder. Straighten your right arm out to the right so the palm is face down alongside your shoulder. Press the ground with your left hand beside your left ribs and begin to peel your chest away from the floor and roll over to your right hip. Whether stacking your legs or beginning to step the left foot behind you. Maybe even wrap the left arm behind you. There's many variations, so just experiment with what feels good. We're here for 1 full minute. Feel the space along the right side of your neck as you draw the right shoulder bone away from it. And if it's not comfortable to rest your right side of your head on the floor, place something under your head. If your left leg is behind you and you feel like you could go a little further, you could step both feet on the ground outside the right edge of your mat, bending both knees. We got about 2 more breaths to go. Now, as you breathe out, gently roll onto your stomach. Take your time transitioning here And just lie in your stomach for a moment in a more neutral position and just feel both sides of your body, including the shoulders. Just take a pause to notice what's there. Then take your time transitioning. Place the left ear towards the ground or on a prop. Use the right hand to press the floor away as you slide the left arm straight out to the left. Begin to roll over towards your left hip. And as you take your time through this process of identifying how deep you need to go in this shoulder opener, notice any shift in the breath, any subtle change in the pattern of breathing, because that's also great guidance. Let your left shoulder draw down away from your neck. If it feels appropriate, you might step the right foot outside the left edge of your mat, or both feet, bending both knees. Maybe wrap the right arm behind you. Feeling the breath in, feeling the release of the breath. Got just 2 more deep breaths here. Take your time, gently roll onto your stomach. Take another pause there in a more neutral position to start to walk your hands to the right, reaching outside of your mat, just for a few breaths of a side stretch. Then slowly walk your hands to the opposite side. Then walk your hands through center and towards your knees so that you can tuck your chin to your chest and very slowly inhale to roll your spine upright. So I highly recommend, if you do have a wall where you could rest your legs on so that your hips or your glutes are touching the wall and you're lying flat on your back, to come into the legs up the wall pose. This last position is going to be Shavasana. If it's more comfortable for you to just splay out on the ground, feel free to take that. So find your most comfortable position to rest in corpse pose. We'll be there for a few minutes before some breath work and brief meditation. So once you're in the position you chose, take a moment to scan all of your body, paying attention to anything that might still be engaged or holding onto something. Take a few last deep exhalations through the mouth, giving your entire body permission to soften and rest. Then closing your eyes, maybe covering them. Allow your attention to drop deeper inward. Let go of your breathing. Let go of the need to do or think about anything. And allow this opportunity for natural integration. of mind, body, spirit, inner being. Now just keeping your body still and your eyes closed. Stay attuned to what you're feeling and gently begin to deepen your breath. Start to move small parts of your body and then larger parts gently. Making the transition out of corpse pose a mindful one. taking your time. Whether you turn over to your right side first or you rock forward, make your way up to a seated position for a brief practice of pranayama. So in this alternate nostril breathing, it will involve touching your face. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can just breathe with awareness of inhaling up the spine and exhaling down the spine. Deep breaths. If you are going to touch your face, let your left hand rest on your lap. Maybe bring the thumb and first finger to touch. And with the right hand, stick out your thumb, pinky, and ring finger. Close the lips and breathe slowly and softly through your nose. Maybe close the eyes. We'll start together. And as you feel the pattern, the repetition, just go at your own pace when you're ready. Exhale this breath completely. Hold the breath. Right thumb, cover the right nostril. Inhale through the left. Hold the breath. Cover left nostril, last two fingers. Exhale through right. Hold. Inhale right. Hold. Thumb, cover right. Exhale left. Hold. Inhale left. Hold. Two fingers cover left. Exhale right. Hold. Inhale right. Hold. Cover right with thumb. Exhale left. And a few more cycles of breath. Continue on your own. Finish this cycle of breath, then release both hands in your lap, sitting for a couple of minutes. I invite you in this meditation practice to be observant of any patterns that arise in the types of thoughts that come up, connecting to your breath as your grounding place. Let's close our practice, joining the palms together at the heart. May our practice of building awareness of self continue beyond this hour to enrich us and those around us in our daily lives. Let's close with one Om. Take a deep breath. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.